So our first step in drawing our Monkey D Luffy Flag is going to just be drawing a rectangle for our flag. And then on to the good part, we're going to draw the emblem. So to get your distance right so that we're not going outside the flag, although you could draw the rectangle afterwards, is we're going to give ourselves a little bit of space up here. We're going to try to keep an equal distance on the bottom. So what that's going to leave us with, what we're going to draw to get our distance right, is like right in the middle here is going to be the bottom of our first circle. So we're going to break this thing down into shapes to make it a little bit easier to construct for ourselves. So I'm going to draw a circle, just like that. It can be rough. We'll go over it at the end with some darker lines. Now, for the next part, what we're going to do is we're going to go, I don't know, about maybe a quarter of the ways into our circle, about here and about here. Try to keep it equal on both sides. I'm going to draw some diagonal lines, just slightly angled outward, down, just like this. Not all the way down to our line, because we're going to have it curved in here for the jaw. Just like this. Curved at the bottom. Kind of a little semicircle here. And then, to distinguish the jaw, we'll just draw right across like this. And then looking at this now, this teeth area is going to be a little bigger than I want it. So what I'm going to do here to fix this is I'm going to measure out about how much space I want for the teeth. And it's going to be about right there. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to redraw this circle, extending down to that portion a little bit bigger. And like I said before, don't worry about these dirty lines. We're going to start off with some light lines and then erase them later to go over them with some darker lines. Now, next step is going to be to fill in those teeth. So pretty straightforward. We've got three vertical lines going from top to bottom here. So slap in that middle one. We'll go halfway over to the other side. Draw another vertical, slightly angled. You want to keep somewhat of the same angle as this, not exactly, but just following that shape there. Draw another vertical line. And then we're going to draw a curved line right across, just like that. Separating those teeth and getting that big smile that we all know from the Luffy flag. Now the next portion is we're going to cut this circle in half horizontally. So straight across, draw a line, and that's going to be the brim of that hat. So we're going to extend it a little bit out past this circle. And then we're just going to draw another one, a little bit of a distance. We draw another one straight across, and then just give them a little curve on this end. I can't stress enough, this pre-drawing does not have to be perfect. We'll fix some of these smaller mistakes when we go over it with our darker lines. Right? Now the next portion is we're going to draw that little red band across his hat. The famous straw hat. Just draw that one line. Now to give this thing the straw look, we'll draw three lines on either side. Next, we'll draw in the eyes. So before we get to the eyes, actually, I want to do the nose. So keeping the nose in the center, come down here, just draw a little circle just like that. And then for the eyes, bigger circles here. And you give yourself some space from that center line, so your eyes aren't too close together, too far apart. Just draw these in here, some more circles. And then the last thing to add is going to be our bones. So what I like to do when I draw crossbones like this is I like to draw a very light line all the way across. So that way this line lines up with this line that comes out here, because it looks funny when you have like, you'll have like a crossbone coming in this way and then you have the other one coming out like in that direction. It just looks funny. So just to keep them lined up, I'm going to draw in some guiding lines for myself. If you don't need to, by all means, feel free to skip this step. Now notice how my X here didn't really cross the center line. I'll adjust it just a little bit to make sure that my crossbones are centered. And then to give myself some guiding shapes underneath, what I'll do is at the ends of these lines, I'll just draw 2 circles like that. Again, just light circles. This is really just going to guide me for when I make the shapes of the bones next. Just like that. And you can already tell I'm going outside of my flag here, so we can just redraw that. But what I'm going to do is, just to give this bone a little bit of width, I'm going to come out on the either side of this guideline that I drew for myself. And right before I get to these circles, I'm going to curve it out. And then I'm just going to follow the contour, or follow the shape of these circles that we drew. It doesn't have to be perfect. If it's not perfect, that's fine. It gives it a little bit of character. That way we're not creating an exact replica, because if we wanted that, we could just trace it. Curve these lines out, following this shape, just like this. Now these ones, I'm looking at it and I'm not liking how this one is lower. See the bottom of this bone isn't necessarily matching up to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to redraw my circles a little bit higher. I'm going to try to keep these perpendicular or perfectly crisscrossed at a right angle on this part. So I'll move both of them up a little bit. I'll draw these little curved lines out to the circles. Darken this line up just a little bit. And then the same thing on this last crossbone here. Give myself some guiding lines. Draw my little curves. And just darken up this line here. And like I said, you can see we went outside of our flag, so all I'm going to do, because this is a rough drawing, is I'll just extend this out just a little bit. We'll erase our underdrawing. It's often called an underdrawing. We'll erase that when we get to the end. So now we have our drawing. Now we just got to give it some line work. So you can use anything you want. You can use a darker graphite pencil. Just be mindful when you're erasing try not to erase your graphite lines. But what I like to use, just because it won't erase when we start erasing things, is I'll use a really thick pen. You can use anything. You can use a Sharpie, permanent marker. I like to use these microns. They're just like black ink liners. You can get them in different widths. This one is a size 12. I've got a whole range of widths, but for this one, since it's kind of a cartoony style, I want to keep a nice bold line on the drawing here. So what we'll do is, so this little in-between line you can see here, this part of our underdrawing, I'm not going to draw that because that's not part of the actual drawing, so I'll just skip over that. Just trace over my drawing, my underdrawing. Just the lines that I want, like these crisscross that I use for the guiding bones. I'm not going to draw on those because I don't want those. Draw the top of his hat. Boom. While we're here, drawing this bone. Not part of the Luffy design, but one thing I like to do with crossbones like this is if you keep going on one of them, just like that, and kind of like flick it inwards, it gives it a little bit of character. Draw it like that. Oops. That's alright. Like I said, the little imperfections give it character. What makes art beautiful is that not everybody's is going to look exactly the same. That's okay, because not everybody is exactly the same. If we were, that'd be kind of boring. I might speed this part up, I might not. But we're just going to trace over the lines that we want to keep. You can go as slow or fast as you want with this. You can deviate from your underdrawing a little bit if you're going over it and you're not liking where part of your underdrawing has fallen. That's fine. Just correct it as you go. Draw that guy in here. Like I can already tell this eye is a little bit bigger, so I'll just correct it as I trace over it. And just make it a little bit smaller. Draw the line for our red bandana, and then add in these straw lines here so we can tell that that's a straw hat, and that is and then what do you want to do? So, should we line in the eyes? That's great. I'll grab some markers. So, I'll get some here. Now grab some markers. Now, these are Copic markers. They're a little excessive for. These are like professional grade artist markers. You don't have to use these by any means. You can use anything you want. These are just happen to be what I have here. You use color pencils, crayons, whatever you want. I just want to give this guy some color. Let's see. Choose a nice red color for this ribbon here. Uh-oh, my marker's out. Oh no! Professional grade or not, dead marker's a dead marker. Just fill this in. Oops. Nice bold red color. Let's see. Dan fill in some yellow for his hat. That infamous straw hat that he got from Shanks, that he covets dearly. And boom, there's our Luffy flag. I'm not going to color in the whole background, but if you wanted to, you could color this entire outer flag area black. And then the last step, if you want to, you don't have to, would be to erase the underdrawing that we did. So all those really light lines that you made just to guide the drawing, because we used ink and marker in this case, you can just indiscriminately, or without worrying about anything, just completely erase the whole drawing, and it'll just take off those lines so that you're left with a nice clean drawing. Just gotta be careful, because if you have some really thin paper like I have here, sometimes it can tear, so just be careful for that. Now in this case, my markers don't seem to want to allow me to erase the pencil that I went over with marker, but that's okay. We still have a pretty sweet Monkey D Luffy pirate flag. Easy as that. Follow if you want to see some more.